I never thought revenge would taste like overcooked prime rib and the metallic tang of suppressed rage. But there I was, fork in hand, smiling across the table at the family that buried me alive in someone else's skin. My mother slid the invoice toward me, like it was a napkin. Her manicured nails tapping the total, $1,720 for miscellaneous legal fees. As if the years I'd rotted in a stranger's body, taking the fall for their sins, could be tallied on a single sheet of paper. And just like that, with the clink of silverware and the murmur of happy anniversary, Mom and Dad, the hooks sank in. They thought they could swap me out, swap me back, and bill me for the cleanup. It started 6 years ago, on a humid July night in Atlanta, Georgia, the kind where the air clings like guilt. I was Harper Ellis, 28, fresh out of Emory Law with dreams of corporate raids and corner offices, the golden child who'd clawed her way up from our cookie-cutter suburb in Alpharetta. My parents, Richard and Evelyn Ellis, Dad the slick real estate mogul, Mom the socialite with a Rolodex of Atlanta's elite, had always positioned me as their legacy. "You're the one who makes it all worthwhile," Dad would say, clapping my shoulder after every A+, every internship. But legacies have prices. And mine came due when Dad's empire started crumbling under the weight of his creative accounting. I didn't know about the fraud then. Not the shell companies laundering bribes from city councilmen. Not the kickbacks from zoning scams that turned greenfields into strip malls overnight. Dad's firm, Ellis Developments, was bleeding cash, and the feds were sniffing closer. That's when Uncle Theo entered the picture, my father's estranged brother, a neuroscientist who'd vanished into Silicon Valley whispers after some black-budget DARPA project. Theo was the family black sheep, the one who talked about consciousness transference like it was Sunday brunch chat. "Bodies are just vessels, Richie," he'd say in those rare holiday visits, his eyes glassy from whatever cocktail of nootropics he was brewing. Dad hated him for it, called him a quack. But desperation has a way of rewriting family trees. The swap happened on my birthday. I'd flown home for the weekend, eager to announce my offer from King and Spalding. We were at the Old Victorian on Peachtree, the one Dad bought with clean money, sipping bourbon on the veranda when Theo arrived unannounced. Tall, gaunt, with that perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and a duffel bag that smelled faintly of ozone and regret. "Family emergency," he muttered. And before I could protest, they had me in the basement, Mom holding my hand like it was a church social, Dad pacing with his phone glued to his ear. Theo's machine was a Frankenstein's wet dream, jury-rigged MRI coils humming around a pair of dentist chairs, electrodes snaking like veins, a laptop running code that looked like it was written by a madman on acid. "It's reversible, Harper," Theo assured me, his voice a oily drawl honed in boardrooms and back alleys. "Just a neural bridge. You hop into Lena's body for a bit, take the heat off Richie, while we sort the books. She hops into yours. Clean slate." Lena Vasquez was the fall guy, a low-level bookkeeper Dad had framed for the embezzlement. Undocumented. Desperate. She'd signed away her life for a green card promise that never came. They drugged her that morning, hauled her in from some roach motel in East Atlanta. I remember her eyes, dark, terrified, pleading as they strapped her down. "Why me?" I whispered to Mom, but she'd just smoothed my hair. "For the family, darling. You'll be back before Labor Day." The pain was biblical. A white-hot scream ripping through my skull, like God himself was yanking my soul out by the roots. Then blackness, and I woke up gasping in Lena's body, short, scarred from factory shifts, hands calloused from scrubbing floors no one else would touch. My reflection in the cracked motel mirror was a stranger's. Olive skin, mousy hair, eyes that had seen too much by 25. And across town, in my lithe, blonde, Harvard-polished shell, Lena was blinking awake. Handed a script. "You're Harper Ellis now. Smile pretty. Sign the please. And we'll make you rich." They pinned the fraud on me, on Lena and Harper's body. The headline screamed, "Heiress to Empire in Massive Kickback Scandal." Court dates blurred into a nightmare. Me, in Lena's frail frame, fighting public defenders who smelled blood, while Harper pled out, tearfully accepting a slap-on-the-wrist deferred sentence. Community service at a food bank that Mom's Junior League ran. I screamed in that interrogation room. "That's not me. Call my parents." But who listens to a wetback janitor, accusing the elite? The judge, a golf buddy of Dad's, sealed it quick. 5 years in Fulton County lockup, plus restitution that drained Lena's ghost of an inheritance. Prison was a special hell, the kind that etches itself into your bones. Chow hall fights over soggy cornbread, nights huddled under thin blankets listening to the coughs of forgotten women. I learned Spanish from the OGs. Picked up a shank-making trick from a lifer who did her daughter in for snitching. But mostly, I planned. Theo's tech wasn't foolproof. He'd bragged about echoes, neural bleed-throughs where memories leaked like faulty plumbing. In the yard, under Georgia's merciless sun, I'd close my eyes and push, willing fragments of my old self into the ether, probing for weaknesses. By year 3, I could taste bourbon on my tongue during lights out, feel the ghost of my manicure itching my nails. The swap was fraying. Meanwhile, the family thrived. Dad's firm rebounded with restructured assets. Mom threw galas for fallen women, charities that funneled cash back to donors. Harper, Lena playing house, graduated law school on my transcripts, landed a cushy gig at a firm Dad bankrolled. She even dated my old flame, Jake, the venture capitalist with a jawline and trust fund. I saw the wedding announcement smuggled in via a contraband phone. Harper Ellis weds in Savannah soiree. My body, my life, paraded like a trophy. Freedom came on a rainy April morning in 2025. Parole board rubber stamping my good behavior. But I wasn't done. Theo's arrogance was his tell. He'd left a backdoor in the code. A USB drive hidden in Lena's motel Bible. I hotwired a guard's Chevy and drove straight to his Palo Alto lair. A nondescript garage startup masquerading as Elysium mural. He was there, tinkering with a prototype, eyes widening like a kid caught with his hand in the jar. "Harper?"
"No."
I didn't let him finish. A taser to the neck, zip ties, and we were back in the chairs. "Your turn to play vessel," I hissed, forcing the reversal. The pain was sweeter this time, laced with vindication. When I opened my eyes blue, I was me again. Lena's body slumped across from me. Theo's machine smoking from overload. But swaps have echoes. As Theo learned when I left him trapped in her skin, shipped back to Atlanta in a crate labeled lab equipment. Lena? She woke in Theo's body. Gaunt and male. A ghost in a stranger's guilt. I gave her a choice. Walk away rich. Or join the reckoning. She chose the latter. Her voice a gravelly whisper in Theo's throat. They took everything from me first. We planned in shadows. Lena as Theo hacking Dad's servers from a burner laptop in a Reno diner. Me slipping into Atlanta under aliases. Blonde eye job and contacts masking the lost years. The anniversary dinner was our stage. 32 years of Mom and Dad's bliss. Black tie affair at the Buckhead Country Club. 50 guests toasting silverware that cost more than Lena's old life. I RSVP'd as Harper Ellis Van Horn, the prodigal wife. Jake none the wiser after I fed him a tale of corporate sabbatical. Lena as Theo crashed as consultant, clipboard in hand, eyes burning with borrowed fire. The meal unfolded like a slow fuse, shrimp cocktail laced with just enough truth serum in the mimosas to loosen tongues without alarm. Dad's speech droned on about resilience, Mom beaming in her Chanel. Harper at my side, wait.
No.
That was me now. But the old Harper was gone, dissolved in the swap's finality. Lena had kept the body, refined it with yoga and Botox. But tonight, she played the part while I watched from the wings, then step in as the ghost returned. As dessert wheeled out, tiramisu dusted with regret, Mom leaned in, her smile a rictus. Darling, we've missed you. But with the firm expanding, we thought it best to settle accounts. The bill slid across, $1,720. Itemized as counseling sessions for your little breakdown. My breakdown, the years in Lena's skin, gaslit into silence. The table fell quiet, forks hovering. Jake shifted. Confused, my brother Ethan, the golden boy heir, smirked like it was a joke. That's when the hook twisted. I snatched the paper, crumpling it in my fist. My real fist. Nails done in Atlanta red. Counseling? You mean the therapy you forced on Lena while she rotted for your crimes? Gasps rippled. Mom's pearls clacked like teeth. Dad's face strained to putty. What the hell are you? Lena as Theo cleared his throat, voice modulator pitching it to her old lilt via app. Or the bribes you funneled through my inheritance, Richard? The ones that bought your pardon. She projected from a hidden tablet, ledgers scrolling, emails damning, IRS flags blinking red. Guests murmured, phones emerging like vipers. Ethan bolted up. This is insane. Security. But I was ready. The waitstaff, rented actors with NDAs and tasers, blocked the doors. Jake stared at me, betrayal etching his boyish features. Harper, what have you done? I leaned close, breath hot on his ear. What they did to me,
Love.
swapped my soul for your picket fence. The climax crashed like thunder. Dad lunged for the tablet, but Lena pinned him, Theo's lanky arms surprisingly strong. You used me as bait, she snarled. And in the scuffle, his Rolex snapped free, tumbling into the tiramisu. Mom wailed. Think of the family, but family was the blade I'd honed. I circled the table, voice low, venomous. Family? You murdered mine the night you plugged me in. Theo's echoes told me everything, the real secret. It wasn't just fraud. You swapped me because I found the bodies. The twist hit like a gut punch. 6 years back, before the swap, I'd uncovered Dad's dirtiest deal. Not just bribes, but a cover-up for the hidden run that killed my Aunt Clara, Theo's wife, in a drunk driving accident that was anything but. Dad's Escalade, high on coke from a client dinner, plowed her off 285. Theo knew, had the dashcam proof, but Mom convinced him to bury it for unity. Instead, they twisted it, framed Clara's affair to discredit her. Then when I dug too deep as the family sleuth, they swapped me to silence the bloodline threat. Lena took the fraud fall as cover. I was the sacrifice for the deeper sin. You gunned her down and made me the monster, I whispered, holding Dad's gaze. He crumpled,
Sobbing.
It was an accident. Harper. For us, for everything we'd built. Guests fled as sirens wailed, Anonymous tip to APD. Lena's doing. Cuffs clicked on Dad's wrists, Mom hyperventilating into her napkin. Ethan vanished into the night. The coward's exit.
Jake?
He grabbed my arm, eyes pleading. Come with me. We can fix this. But fixing meant forgiving, and forgiveness was the luxury they stole. I shoved him off. Enjoy the alimony.
Jake.
It's all you'll get from this shell. As the club emptied, rain sheeting the windows, Lena and I stood amid the wreckage, plate shattered, linen stained. What's next? She asked, Theo's face cracking into her old smile. I lit a cigarette, the one vice I'd kept from prison. We burn it down. All of it. But revenge, I learned, is a mirror. In the quiet drive back to the motel, Theo's echoes whispered doubts. Was Lena truly free? Or just another puppet? And me, back in my skin, but hollowed by the swap. Could I ever fill the gaps? The news cycle exploded next day. Ellis Empire implodes in anniversary horror. Dad copped to vehicular homicide for a reduced fraud sentence. Mom lawyered up on accessory charges. Theo's body, Lena's now, vanished to Mexico with a wire transfer, her restitution. Ethan sold the firm for pennies, fleeing to Dubai.
Me?
I kept the law degree, twisted it into a pro bono crusader gig, suing the 1% for their swaps and shadows. Jake divorced me quietly, but sent postcards from Napa. I miss the woman you were. Maybe I did too. The ending? Call it Pyrrhic victory. The family scattered. Justice served cold. But in the dead of night, I feel the fray, Lena's memories bleeding in. Her rage mine now. Was it worth it? Hell yes. But ask 100 readers. You'll get 100 verdicts. Monster or martyr. That's the American dream. Win the war. Lose the soul. And let the jury deliberate over coffee. The fallout from that dinner lingered like smoke from a house fire you set yourself. Acrid. Inescapable. Curling into every corner of what used to be your life. 2 weeks post-anniversary. Atlanta's elite had redrawn their maps, exiling the Ellis name to the footnotes of cocktail gossip. Did you hear? Little Harper snapped, straight out of a Lifetime movie. They'd whisper at the Capitol Grill, clinking glasses over fillets that cost more than my parole stipends. I didn't care. Caring was for the old Harper, the one who'd blush at boardroom banter and bake snickerdoodles for Jake's holiday party. This Harper, this reclaimed, ragged version, thrived on the ash. Lena and I holed up in an extended stay off at 85, the kind with thin walls and vending machines stocked with regret. She'd shed Theo's wardrobe for thrift store jeans and a cropped hoodie, his Adam's apple bobbing awkwardly as she practiced her new baritone in the mirror. Feels like wearing someone else's shoes, she said one night, cracking open a PBR. Too big. Too stiff. I nodded, passing her the lighter for my menthol. Try living it for 5 years. At least his credit cards work. We weren't partners in crime. Not exactly, more like co-tenants in vengeance, splitting rent on a vendetta that bound us tighter than blood. Lena's story filled the gaps in mine, how they'd recruited her from a temp agency, promising citizenship for administrative duties. Instead, it was spreadsheets rigged with phantom transactions, her signature forged on the damning ones. When the feds knocked, Dad's PI bundled her into a van, doped her with roofies, and delivered her to Theo's basement like a FedEx package. They said it'd be quick, she murmured, tracing scars on Theo's forearms, track marks from his experiments. Wake up, American. Instead, I woke up you. The swap's mechanics were Theo's mad science poetry, Quantum entanglement meets rogue AI, mapping neural maps via entangled particles he'd borrowed from a CERN side project. Reversible in theory. But entropy's a bitch. Memories cross-pollinated like weeds in a garden. That's how I knew about Aunt Clara's last words. Gasped to Theo as she bled out on the shoulder. Tell Richie. The kids deserve better. Or how Lena relived my prom night kiss with Jake under the bleachers. Salt and sweetness mingling with her own ghosts of border crossings and aborted dreams. You're in me now, she said, clinking cans. Like it or not, our next move was Ethan's. My brother, the spare heir who'd skated through Vanderbilt on Dad's donations. Now squatting in a condo Dad co-signed in Midtown. He'd always been the charmer, frat boy grin. Easy lies. The one Mom defended with boys will be boys, even after the DUIs. But the ledger showed more. Ethan as Dad's errand boy. Delivering envelopes to councilmen in steamy parking garages. Betting interns for intel. The anniversary reveal had spooked him. His LinkedIn went dark. Flights booked to anywhere but here. We tailed him to a dive bar off Ponce de Leon, the kind with peanut shells on the floor and jukebox blues wailing about lost highways. Lena waited in the Impala, engine idling, while I slipped in as new girl, nursing a Jack and Coke at the corner booth. Ethan was 3 stools down, tie loosened, flirting with a redhead who smelled like desperation. Rough week. Huh. I purred, sliding onto the stool beside him, voice pitched to old Harper's lilt. He turned, eyes lighting with sleazy recognition. Holy shit. Sis, wait. You're. Sure. I pressed a finger to his lips, the other hand palming the USB drive, Lena's hack of his offshore accounts. Heard you bailed on the family circus. Smart. But running costs.
Ethan.
Like that $250,000 slush fund you siphoned for your side hustle. His face cycled through shock, denial, fury. What the fuck? You're supposed to be locked up or... Whatever Theo did. I laughed, low and bitter. Theo's taking a siesta in Mexico.
Permanent.
And you're the loose end. He grabbed my wrist, breath sour with whiskey. You think you can touch me? I've got friends, senators, judges. Classic Ethan, bluffing with Daddy's Rolodex. But I twisted free, slamming the drive on the bar like a gauntlet. Upload this to WikiLeaks, and your friends scatter like roaches. Or sign it over the accounts, the condo, everything to Lena Vasquez. Restitution for the life you stole. The redhead edged away. The bartender pretended not to hear. Ethan's eyes darted, calculating. You're crazy. This is blackmail. Call it interest on the 5 years I served for your parking tickets. The lie stung. His DUIs had padded the fraud rap. Distractions while Dad buried Clara's cam footage. He signed, hands shaking, a napkin contract witnessed by the jukebox. As he stumbled out, I texted Lena, thread pulled. By dawn, his assets were hers, laundered through a Cayman shell she'd learned from the best us. But controversy brewed in the quiet hours. Jake started calling, voicemails stacking like accusations. Harper, this isn't you. The dinner, the cops, it's like you've been replaced. He wasn't wrong. The swap's bleed left me with tics, Lena's habit of twisting rings she didn't wear, Theo's insomnia pacing circuits in my brain. One night, post-Ethan's score, Lena and I hit a Waffle House for hash browns scattered, smothered,
Covered.
You ever wonder if we're the villains now? She asked, drowning syrup in ketchup. I paused, Fork midway. They made us this way. Blame the mirror. Mom's summons came via courier, cream envelope, embossed with the family crest, delivered to the motel like a debutante invite. Tea at the club.
Noon.
Come alone. I went. Lena shadowing from a coffee shop across the way. The veranda overlooked the ninth green, azaleas blooming defiant against the heat. Mom was a ghost in Lily Pulitzer, pearls choking her like a noose. Harper. My girl, she cooed, pouring chamomile from a silver pot. This madness ends. Your father's pleading, cooperating fully.
But you.
Dragging Theo's corpse through the mud? It's unbecoming. Unbecoming. I sipped, scalding my tongue. Like swapping your daughter with a migrant to cover a murder? Her hand trembled, saucer rattling. Clara was collateral. Your father was building something, legacy, security. You were always so idealistic. Theo's toy fixed that. The admission hung, raw as an open wound. She'd greenlit it all, held my hand as the machine whirred, coached Lena on my mannerisms over Zoom. For the family, she repeated, mantra of monsters. I set the cup down, deliberate. Family's over. Evelyn. But here's your bill. I slid a folder across, her own ledgers, charity fronts masking bribes, including the $1,720 fees, actually payoffs to the parole board for my early release, twisted to look like therapy. Sign the divorce from Dad. Liquidate your trusts to a victim's fund. Or it goes public, socialite mom's swap scandal, how the elite erased the unwanted. Tears welled. But no apology. You'll destroy us all. You did that first. She signed, quill scratching like claws on coffin wood. As I left, her voice cracked. I did it for you, Harper. To keep you safe. Safe. The word echoed as I drove away. Lena waiting with takeout tacos. Safe like a cage. Gilded and locked. The tension coiled tighter with Dad's trial looming, federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta. Marble halls echoing with the ghosts of better men. I testified. Not as victim, but avenger, detailing the swap in clinical terms. Theo's patents projected on screens like autopsy slides. Jurors shifted. Whispers of sci-fi bullshit, mixing with nods from the tech-savvy millennials. Dad took the stand, broken tycoon in off-the-rack suit, spinning accident tales laced with remorse. I lost my way, he choked. I seeking mine. Part of me, the old, buried part, wavered. Forgive and forget. The American way. Rehab. Redemption arcs on Dateline. But Lena's whisper in my ear, prepped from the gallery. He lost your way first. I cross-examined, voice steady as a surgeon's blade. Mr. Ellis, did losing your way include deleting dashcam footage of my aunt's murder? Or strapping your daughter to a chair for a consciousness heist? The courtroom gasped, his lawyer objected. Sustained. But the seed planted, doubt sprouting in the jury box. Climax crested on closing arguments, rain lashing the windows like Judgment Day. Prosecutor painted Dad as kingpin, me as the Phoenix witness. Defense countered with family tragedy, Theo the mad uncle, me the vengeful harpy. She's not even sure whose memory she's claiming, the lawyer sneered. And the gallery tittered, controversy gold. I met Dad's gaze across the well, his eyes pleading, end it. But ending meant erasure, and I'd fought too hard to fade. Verdict, guilty on all counts: fraud, manslaughter, conspiracy to commit.
Well,
They called it aggravated identity theft, a new statute born from our circus. 20 years.
no parole.
Mom got 5 for accessory. House arrest in a condo that used to be the guest wing. As marshals led him away, he mouthed, "Proud of you. Lies to the end." In the rear view of reckoning, the road stretched infinite and pitted. Every mile marker a reminder that victory's just another word for the mess you made. 6 months post-trial, Atlanta felt like a skin I'd outgrown. Too tight, too scarred. Lena and I split the spoils, her with a new identity in Austin, Texas. Enrolled in community college on a scholarship fund I'd muscled from Ethan's corpse of assets. Gonna study engineering, she texted. Selfie attached. Theo's face softened with her smile. A far cry from the terror in that basement. Fix what's broken. Not just swap it.
Me?
I lit up for Seattle. Rain-slick streets and tech utopias promising reinvention. Or oblivion. The echoes followed. Though, neural tinnitus buzzing in quiet moments. I'd wake at 3 a.m., tasting Lena's last prison meal, chili mac. Congealed and cruel. Or feel Theo's fingers twitching for a syringe that wasn't there. Therapy helped. Ironically, the $1,720 mom billed me for sessions I'd never attended. Now ironic fuel for my own couch time with a shrink who specialized in trauma transference. You're integrating, Dr. Reyes said. Her office overlooking Puget Sound. Fairies cutting wakes like clean incisions. But integration means choices. Who do you want to be? Harper. The question gnawed as I rebuilt. Pro bono firm in Pioneer Square. Suing Big Pharma for experimental ethics violations. Channeling swap rage into class actions. Clients flocked, surrogates gaslit by clinics. Whistleblowers vanished in NDAs. Success bred spotlight. TED Talk invites. Podcaster DMs probing the woman who stole her life back. I demurred. But controversy stalked anyway. Online sleuths dissected the trial transcripts. Birthing forums ablaze. Swapgate. Threads debating if I'd hacked humanity or just hacked the patriarchy. Harper Ellis is a hero, stuck it to the man, versus she's a body snatcher vigilante. Lock her up next. Memes proliferated. Me as Black Widow. Dad as Thanos. Lena as the Hulk and drag. Debatable. Delicious. The American pastime. Jake resurfaced in spring. Email subject. 1 coffee. He'd sold his VC stake. Moved to Portland for perspective, now brewing IPAs with names like Echo Chamber. We met at a neutral roastery in Capitol Hill. Steam fogging the windows like breath on glass. He looked older, lines bracketing his eyes. The jawline softened by craft beer punch. You vanished, he said, stirring oat milk into his flat white. After the trial.
Poof.
I thought. Maybe I could help. Help. The word twisted. Remnant of proposals under Christmas trees. Vows we'd whispered before the swap stole my yes. I sipped black. Bitter as truth. Help like you did when Harper, Lena, walked down the aisle in my dress? Or when you ignored the calls from Fulton, thinking it was some junky prank? He flushed. The redhead from the bar reborn in shame. I believed them. Your parents said you. Cracked under pressure. Law school PTSD. Lies they fed him. Laced with photos of me in therapy. Staged smiles. And the wedding? I pressed. Voice a wire. Did that feel like PTSD too? He leaned in. Voice low. It felt wrong from the start. The way she never laughed at my jokes. Flinched at touch. but I thought it was you.
Changed.
When you showed at the dinner.
God.
Harper. It was like seeing a ghost fuck up my world. Controversy simmered. Was he victim or enabler? I wanted to hate him, but the bleed complicated it. Lena's envy of our old life seeping in, making his betrayal sting double. I kept the ring, he added, sliding a velvet box across the scarred wood. Simple band. Sapphire inlay, my birthstone. In case. I didn't open it. Cases close.
Jake.
This one's adjourned. But as I walked out into the drizzle, the box burned in my pocket, a controversial decision. The kind that keeps you up debating your own heart. Keep it as trophy? Pawn it for the fund? Or mail it back with a note? Thanks for the memories that weren't mine. The final twist slithered in summer. A manila envelope postmarked Palo Alto, Theo's will. Couriered by a notary who wouldn't meet my eyes. Inside, deeds to a Lygium mural, patents on the swap tech, and a letter in his spidery scrawl. Harper, if you're reading this, I failed the reversal. The echoes? They're not bugs, they're features. Consciousness isn't solitary, it's a web. You didn't just swap bodies, you wove souls. Lena's fire in your spine, my regrets in your dreams. The real secret, I didn't invent it. DARPA did. Testing on vets, PTSD cures that birth monsters. Your father funded the prototype with black money. Clara's accident, a loose end from field trials. You're the upgrade.
Niece.
Use it. Or burn it. The reversal? Not my doing alone. Theo had rigged a dead man's switch. My probing from prison triggered it. But his suicide note, dated weeks before the basement raid, confessed orchestration. He'd volunteered for the swap, trapping himself in Lena's body as penance, knowing I'd free him only to inherit the curse. Truth inverted. I wasn't victim reborn. I was the architect. Echoes guiding my hand all along. Dad's fraud? Bait to draw me home. The bill? A nudge. Mom's coded plea to remember the fees, DARPA's code for activation. I drove to the sound that night, patents fluttering in the wind like surrender flags. Lena called as I stood on the pier, waves gnashing below. Heard from the ghost. I told her, voice cracking over the roar. We're him now. All of us. Silence. Then her laugh, Theo's timbre. Lena's warmth. Then we rewrite the code. Together? The ending? Yours to argue. I torched the papers. Watched embers dance into the dark, pyre for the old gods. No happily ever after. No tragic nosedive, just a woman with borrowed souls, building a firm that litigates the invisible. Jake's ring? Donated to the fund. Inscription engraved on a plaque. For vessels reclaimed. Readers, you decide, redemption or recursion. In America, the debate's the real revenge. Endless. Electric. Eternally contested.